Hello, this is Lisa Phelps, video blogging for BiggerPockets. Today's episode is the coziness factor and how it makes renting your unit a lot faster. My units have all been primarily in working class neighborhoods, and there's one thing that I uniquely brought to it that I describe as the coziness factor. In these working class neighborhoods, I got the asset prices at a very low price, and because of that, I made sure that when I did the upgrades, I made it to, even though it's a neighborhood I would never live in, I fixed it to the standards that I would want to live inside with. And so I categorized it, it's in 5 key areas that if you bring this to your home, you really elevate yourself against all the other investors, and especially in these working class neighborhoods where the tenants tend to want to move to and stay for long periods of time. If you bring this coziness factor up a level, you're really going to hone in into your demographics, wants and needs, and sort of ensure that you're having a long-lasting tenants. And so the first part I want to talk about is paint. A lot of the times people can just do a basic white. I don't agree with that just fundamentally because it's just something that I've noticed when you walk into an all-white home, you have a different impression than one that's painted with color on the walls. And so if you're somebody who's not really good with color schemes or painting and what would be a solid color that would last throughout many different houses or turnover in tenants without turning people off, go into the houses that you instinctively liked, and what you've noticed. I use a certain light tan, it's a light brown color in all of my homes. I use the same exact color, and it always sells to different types of people because it just brings a warmth that white walls never will. And as long as I continue to do real estate, I will continue to put the same brown colors. I know they say you should stay away from colors because it can scare people off, but I think that's probably more in selling a house, not necessarily in renting a house out. And my nice warm brown brings it out, but if you find a color that works consistently no matter what house you purchase and renovate, that is something to consider that will up the factor of you renting your house out faster because of that first initial impression with painted walls. And just bring it into that, it just makes it a little bit more lived in and homey. Like this can be someone's home, and that's what it shouts to a potential renter, potential long-term renter. Next, I would say fixtures and outlet. So when I get a new property, I usually change all of the fixtures and outlets. It's not expensive. It's $15 to $20 for a different light fixture, but a soft little fixture in addition to the paint is something that's enough to soften the look. And if you go ahead and invest in the time to either have an electrician exchange all the outlets for new ones, especially in these older homes, or you can do it yourself with the proper safety precautions. Just switching the outlets and changing the light fixtures to something new does so much. It adds that trim to the house that can really make it look like a really deep renovation is taking place. Even if you didn't necessarily do a deep renovation, it gives the appearance of nice, sleek, clean lines at all the fixtures they look at most, which are electric and light fixtures. So that's part of every renovation I've done that also brings it up a level, makes the place look like it's brand new, even though it's a 100-year-old property. The third one I'd like to talk about in the coziness factor is cleanliness. I know in some of these old homes, you sometimes get to basements or rooms where you can either do a light dusting over or good and deep and really clean it out. There's some basements I've looked at that I did not want to clean. However, I did it anyways, and I got really dirty doing it, and I was trying to save money. You can hire someone else out to do this, but I went ahead and I got into like the ugliest dirty places. If you open up a cabinet and it's dirty underneath, you can sort of leave it, but if you get down and you get it clean either yourself or you're hiring it out, it really makes a difference because when your new tenant comes in, they're going to look in these cabinets, they're going to look in the basement, and are there cobwebs? Is there dust in the corner? There is a quite different impression for a completely head to toe clean house than one that people overlook these little spots here and there because they didn't want to get too dirty. And I think that is like the key difference, regardless of my Ohio property, my Virginia property, or my Maryland property, that really made tenants really go inside and really fall in love with the place. And I say color is my next part of the coziness factor. So color is not just the paint. but do you put tiles? Do you put linoleum? And yes, you don't want to, everyone says goes neutral so you don't turn people away, but there's a level of neutral, it doesn't scare you away, but it doesn't shout, oh, let me make this my home. You know, so, you know, putting a bit of color on the ground, even if it's tile and, you know, instead of white tile, just a little bit of color and or a little bit more there can go a long way, or like having curtains. So it's okay to put colors in these houses that you're going to renovate, because honestly, when you think about it, the house that you live in, it has some colors more so than the stead, all white, everything, and basic carpets that you might see in an apartment or other renovations. So don't be scared of colors in a buy and hold. I wouldn't necessarily say this for flipping, when staging is very important and you don't want to turn away potential first-time home buyers. And home buyers are different. They don't necessarily come from the same emotional place when they're buying, so you don't want to necessarily put a lot of colors. But for a renter who wants to stay for a long time, this can be the key difference to remind them of where they came from, or that cozy home that they come from. And my last thing is appliances. I know you can refix old appliances, but if the house is already old and you had to renovate, I say spend the $1,500 to get new stove, fridge, washer and dryer. It's amazing how, if you have an old house, but if they walk in and they see the paint, the fixture, and how clean it is because you got those nook and crannies and the colors everywhere on the, you know, the curtains or in the bathroom, how if you add in fresh new appliances, your house looks like $1,000,000. It's not, okay? It's probably 80 years old, and you know, you did like a thorough cleaning, but you didn't necessarily give upgrades everywhere. But with these shiny new appliances and colors, it looks like a beautiful home that a lot of attention been paid to. Now, this is the Coziness factor, as I call it, PFCCA, and that's for paint, fixtures and outlets, cleanliness, color, and appliances. And if you incorporate all of these things, they're not very expensive. Switching an outlet is not expensive. Cleaning is just something you just need to do. Just be extremely thorough about it, even in the places you don't want to go. Behind the bathroom, toilet, just everywhere. Color, splashes, and appliances, put all those things together. Your house might be 80 years old and you might not have spent a lot of money on the renovation, but with these 5 factors, it's going to look like it's brand new. And you know, if you look at anyone's photos, you know, what sticks out are these different very affordable and budgetable things. But for working class neighborhoods, I highly recommend you finding some solid colors and taking the time to upgrade with these little things that probably at the most the cost on top of what you're doing is, you know, $2,000 maybe at the most. However, has such an impact on making your room rent quickly every single time there's a turnover with minimal cost. So this is Lisa. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the coziness factor with me. It's something I highly recommend people do in their renovations for that extra touch of elegance. And if you don't have it innate within yourself, ask a friend of yours or a wife or a girlfriend to come with you so they can impart their bit of instinctual wisdom on what makes a home cozy and warm, and it's worth it. And once you figure out what works for you, you can do it every single renovation and still get the same results. So you just have to learn the first time what really works color scheme wise, on top of just renovating and doing what needs to be repaired and fixed. So again, this is Lisa Phillips, video blogging for BiggerPockets. Thank you.